Hi everyone. Today in this video, we are going to look at the background setting of the poem, well-known read of Alexander Pushkin's poem entitled The Bronze Horseman. So this particular poem is a narrative poem uh, for which Pushkin is well known for as a Russian poet, Russian writer. So this is one of his famous narrative poems. And coming to the setting of time, the time setting of the poem is 1833 and 1837. So it consisting of coming to the structure of the poem, it consists of three parts. The first part is the prologue, the introduction, where he gives a brief account of the flood which occurred in 1824. And in part one and two, he deals with the character, the young Yevgeny, who is supposed to be a clerk, a simple man who struggles during the flood that occurred in Petersburg in 1824. And the historical background setting is the flood of St. Petersburg in 1824. So the poem, as a narrative poem, it centers around one character named Yevgeny, a young man who is deeply in love with his fiancée named Parasha. And in the beginning of part one, in the poem, he introduces the character Yevgeny, who Yevgeny is, and also talks about what are his dreams in future and what are his plans about his daydreaming. And when the massive flood strikes St. Petersburg, uh, how did he react and leading to which led to chaos and destruction. So he is as the victim of the flood in St. Petersburg that leads him to chaos and various kinds of struggles and distractions. And the poem also talks about Evgeny's life here, which is again irrevocably altered as he struggles to save himself and his beloved from the overwhelming force of nature. And the Bronze Horseman here as the title suggests, the Bronze Horseman, a statue of Peter the Great in St. Petersburg, here becomes a symbolic and haunting element in the poem. So, once we go through the analysis of the poem, you will have a better understanding why here the statue of Peter the Great in St. Petersburg, the Bronze Horseman, is a metaphor, a kind of metaphorical element. So you will have an understanding better as we move on to the analysis of the text. So before we discuss on the poem, let's look at Pushkin's poetic style. And as a writer, he is well versed in French and also Russian is not his mother tongue or his native language. But then he learned, as a writer, Pushkin, as born and brought up in Russia, and he learned a language, but then not as well versed as he is in French. So the title of the poem here refers to the equestrian statue of Peter the Great, which is often associated with a city's grandeur and the might of the Russian Empire. So you will come across in the prologue how he kind of sort of paid tribute, which is like an ode to the work, the creation of Peter the Great. In this context, Pushkin's poem *The Bronze Horseman* takes on a more ominous and symbolic role, representing the inexorable power of fate and the forces that can be at times disrupted and also destroy, leads to destructions and destroy human lives. The Bronze Horseman is notable for its vivid descriptions and also the depictions of emotional intensity and exploration of themes such as love, that is the love between Evgeny, the young Evgeny, and his girlfriend, and the relationship between the individual and the state. So, as a whole, though the poem talks about one character, the account of Eugenie's struggles. As a whole, it also talks about the relationship between the individual and the citizens, that is, the state. And Pushkin's poetic skills is evident in his ability to create a powerful narrative while also addressing broader social and philosophical questions. So maybe in terms of his poetic diction. So as a writer who is well versed in various languages, and also though he is a he is a maybe competent in Russian, but in terms of diction, in terms of choices, his word choice of words, he is very direct, straightforward. There is no much ambiguous words in his poems, and many of the literary critics, they claim that Pushkin's poetic style are too raw because of maybe the choice of words. So this is a brief overview about Alexander Pushkin and his writings, and also a brief gist or the background setting of the famous narrative poem, The Bronze Horseman.